That's wonderful. We're going to the next round. And so I'm going to share my screen again. And in this next round, we are going to give the stage to quite some people who are very active doers, those who take action, those who just cannot sit um, and just know that we have to take action, but not doing it. So it's about what can we do, what have others done who take action. So there's some really great people, and I'm going to start with this lady, and she couldn't join here today. She has some health issues right now, but she sent us a video, 3 minutes, so it's not that long. Lives Well Lived, from Sky Bergman, and she is a award-winning filmmaker, photographer, author, speaker, and very passionate advocate for building bridges across generations. So, and then I hope this link is going to work, and I see all kinds of things happening. So it should work. And there it is.
We have no sound.
Oh. Okay. Then we're not going to look into that. We are going to share the link to that video in the coming days. So that was Sky, and anyhow, you can learn a lot from anything that she's doing, all the beautiful work that she's doing. Already made several award-winning documentaries, and mostly about all the people, intergenerational collaborations, and but also she managed to do storytelling, but then translate it into a documentary. So it's really great to see more of her work. Then we are going to move to Corinne, and also someone in South Africa. Actually, is very well represented today. So, Corinne, purpose-driven leader and entrepreneur, the founder of Core Impact, an impact-led venture reimagining care for seniors and vulnerable communities. And especially in a country like South Africa, we here in the Netherlands might think that this is just something you do. Well, there it isn't. So she's a mentor, a trailblazer. She leads not only with wisdom earned, but with a deep responsibility to shape a better, more dignified future for generations to come. Corinne, the floor is
Thank you.
yours.
Thank you so much, Ingun. Thank you for the introduction. I'm going to introduce you all to my daughter, who's here next to me, Olivia Grace. We're talking about Oh, I love that. Thank you, everybody, for welcoming her so nicely. She also just turned 10. And I love having her here so that she can also learn from all of us, because this is our next generation, right? So I must say, Ingan, thank you. I said in the previous breakout group, I always have a little bit of imposter syndrome when I am at these platforms that Ingan put together, because I'm actually just that. I'm just a doer. I'm not well written. I haven't written any books. I haven't. So it always feels to me like, oh my word, how blessed am I to be here amongst all these wonderful individuals. But yes, Ingan, apart from you that I think are the biggest doer in this whole group, and actually when you put your mind to something, it really happens. For me, what I've learned on my journey is that, age is often seen as a boundary line. And today, luckily, we're not even talking about gender, we're talking about age. as a boundary line. In my career, you either have been too young to lead, or no, now you're too old to become an entrepreneur, or actually, no, it's too late in your career to start over or to try something new, or it's way too early, you don't have enough experience to try something out. So there she's saying goodbye. Bye, my love. Go and do homework. Sorry. Juggling a lot of balls today. But the fact of the matter is, and what I've come to realize, is that your birth certificate actually doesn't ask about your purpose. Your purpose doesn't check your birth certificate. When your purpose calls, it only asks you one question, and that is, will you answer? And you've got the choice. Are you going to answer yes, or are you going to answer no? So I'm very passionate about youngsters actually starting off their own ventures. I'm very passionate about the elderly starting off their ventures, and that we can actually make an impact at any given age in our lives. My personal journey, I've lived this truth myself very early on in my career. As a female, I have gone and I've privatized hospitals in a volatile country that didn't want to accept females from other countries, and thank the Lord, I've through faith-based and my faith-based way of doing things, I've managed to manage that project very successfully. Why? Because I felt a very strong purpose to do it, and I put my hand up and I said yes. At the age of just over 40, I started a senior living community in South Africa, and I'm still very involved with seniors. And my passion is exactly what we're talking about here today within South Africa. And it's about bringing generations together. And Edward, I was so excited about the example that you've used. I mean, just in the senior living community, we've almost in our environment forced seniors to be involved in volunteer work so that they can find new purpose again, because we are the generation that's being thrown aside, right? So part of what I've tried to do was to kind of spark some purpose again, and spark that thing of, what is my why? Why am I here? So done that. And now, as you see, I've started a new venture called Core Impact, which is really about getting involved in projects that makes an impact. And it can be as small as the drop in the ocean, like with Female Wave of Change, that creates a big tsunami ultimately and a big wave, or it can be something big from the start. But it's all about understanding and saying yes when that little voice of reason or that little idea comes. And we so often, and I think this is where the problem sits. I've listened to Matthew McConaughey the other day. I happen to be a very big fan of him physically and of his acting, but also lately, the women will understand, but also lately of his talks and his leadership and just his take on life. And he actually said the other day when I listened to a talk of his, he said, he says to people, so what if you start something and you fail? If that little voice speaks to you in the middle of the night, that's purpose talking. That's something, that's a seed that's being planted. So what in the bigger scheme of things, if you've tried it and you failed, instead of wondering for the rest of your life, what would have happened? So in the bigger scheme of life, my philosophy as a doer has become one of, let's connect, let's try, and let's act on that idea. Now, one of my ventures took me 5 months, 2 years, and 28 days to actually get started. I heard the word no 128 times. So I wanted to give up so many times. But then here in South Africa, there's another gentleman that literally during COVID, and you might have heard of him, his name is Brent Lindecky. During COVID, there were these, and remember, we're talking about doers and guys that actually uses a spark and puts it into action. And this guy didn't wait 5 years, 2 months, and 28 days. Brent literally saw everybody on social media being idiotic during COVID and drinking themselves to oblivion and then doing these silly challenges. I don't know if you remember that during COVID, how stupid people were like getting drunk and doing challenges. And he was like, that doesn't even make sense. Why don't I just do a random act of kindness? And he did exactly that. And overnight, he went viral. I mean, now he's an international speaker. Oprah's interviewed him. He's doing immense work throughout the world. And that was, again, purpose that called. And we often, purpose comes in different ways. And I said in the previous breakaway session, I wish we can have more intentional conversation between intergenerations, different generations. Because if a 20-year-old and a 70-year-old talks to each other with an open mind, both of those individuals leave the conversation different. And we leave those conversations with ideas, and oftentimes we leave the conversation with vigor and with something that wants to push us into action. And it's not for everybody. Everybody isn't a doer, and that's okay. But I think unless we start groups like this, where we are intentional about doing, the wave is not going to start. We need to understand, and it's people like us that needs to understand that our ceiling literally is the floor for the next generation. It's handing over the baton and being intentional. And unless we do that with intention, we are going to lose immense wisdom from the older generation, but we're also going to lose immense energy and drive from a younger generation. And I think that for me is almost the secret sauce in the doing, is an open mind. And it's not because I'm energetic, but it's just, I'm just an individual that understands that that little voice in my head in the middle of the night is not craziness. It's something that pushes me towards reaching out to my network and saying, how can I make this a reality? Could be someone else's idea. Put your ego aside and actually let's do something for the greater good. Because you know what? Bold visions are really not just built for us. They're actually built to outlive us, in my mind.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And I just love her energy, and you feel that she's always there and doing new things and very successful. I know that you had really a terrible experience in the beginning of this year and last year, but the way that you get up again, you fall, you get up, and you go to the next thing. And yeah, it's absolutely, I admire you for that. And being, that imposter syndrome, and we all have that at this moment, that you feel like, oh, what am I doing here? Why did they ask me? You are that entrepreneur and that doer that is really a great example for the people here. So thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome, my dear. So we're going to the next, well, actually the next two speakers, and that's really a great collaboration. Well, first of all, it is about it is Donna Seed, and she is at the end of her story giving the floor to Akot, our very young speaker, Generation Alpha. And why is she doing that? Because she has been mentoring Akot the last couple of months to make sure that she's able to do this, and she already has a lot of vision and a lot of speaking experience. But it is always great to have that, that extra thing that someone can help you with. So Donna has been mentoring Akot for the last so many months. So about Donna, because she's going to tackle the green elephant in the room. We are going to stick with those elephants and talk about climate change. Donna is a semi-retiree who is applying her knowledge and experience to help others worldwide to protect the planet. Sustainability consultant for 40 plus years with 40 plus years of experience, and adjunct professor at the Rand School of Business. And very important also in that intergenerational part, a startup mentor. Okay, Donna, the floor is yours. Tackle the
Great.
green elephant in the room.
Thank you. Let's see. Oh, I can't. Let me share my desktop. Thank you, Ingun. Let's see. Oops. Are we good? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yep.
Okay. Great. Oops. Skipped ahead. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. So I'm Donna Seed. I'm a Chinese American from California, but lived in the last 13 years in the Netherlands. My training and background is in toxicology, and I've been working, as I said, over 40 years in corporate environment, health, and safety departments for multinationals. I'm also focused a lot on sustainability the last 30 plus for these companies. And as mentioned, I'm taking my knowledge and my experience to try to help others. So what I'm doing is talking about tackling the green elephant in the room, climate change. And I have to say, this is going to be a little more sobering in that, to me, if we're not taking care of Mother Earth, all of the things that we've been talking about, we're going to fall to the wayside. And it is the big overhanging issues at hand that we all have to be very much concerned about. I'm actually now in Portland, Oregon. I'm visiting my family here, and as I was mentioning in the breakout rooms, it's just horrific. I am just horrified at these headlines. I'm amongst an administration that are climate change deniers that don't believe the science and are frozen funds and research in this areas. And I just feel like we're going back in time. And in fact, I'm a testimonial to that. Back in 1972, when I was a freshman at UCLA, I was learning about ozone depletion and greenhouse gases. That actually led me to be where I'm at. This course was so exciting to me. But here we are in 2025, and I can't believe we're still having to address it, not making that much progress. And it's really disconcerting. Especially, I think we're at a precipice right now. And we talked about this. We're feeling some of the issues at hand regarding this, but I'm really, really concerned about our children and our children's children. And I think all of you are feeling something similar. So I don't know, hopefully a lot of you are aware of the 7 stages of grief. And there was a lot of shock, denial, and I'm very much often in the anger stage here regarding this area. And what I'm trying to seek is the bargaining. There's parts of depression, but really trying to seek solutions and how to accept the situation and try to move us forward. But I'm also, and are you familiar, I think, with the Serenity Prayer, understanding what we can control and what we have control over that we can do to make a difference, and looking at that. And so from a perspective of where one can make a difference, taking a look at what we decide to buy, how we behave, and how do we want to spend our time at home, at work, in our communities, and the greater world. And I'm talking things like purchasing energy efficient appliances and recycling. I don't have a car, I use public transportation. What I choose to buy, what I choose to invest in terms of like stock, are with brands that align with my values. Who do you support in terms of your voting, your leaders, your politicians, and trying to make that happen? That's what we can kind of do sort of on an individual level and making those considerations. But another aspect of climate change is the more frequency of natural disasters that are occurring. And our age group are particularly vulnerable. We have often less mobility. We have reliance on special medications or perhaps electrical or electronic medical equipment. We have issues potentially with health or cognitive disorders, and a lot of us are living alone. So, how can we help each other? So, part of that is looking at forming community emergency response teams. These are happening around the world. I'm involved in some actually in the US as well as in Europe in terms of we can't rely on our emergency response service providers. They're going to be the fire departments, the police, they're going to be very involved with a lot of other really more alarming situations. What we can do is help each other within our own communities. They have here in the US, blocks of neighbors are getting together and coming up with understanding what different skill sets each can bring to the table and having specific roles. So, for example, I have a friend who's a nurse practitioner and her neighbor is a physician. And so for their emergency neighbors team, they're the medical point go-to people. There are people that are designated as sweepers that will go to each house and check to see how people are. There are people that are in charge of communications. Where can you help? What are your skills in those areas? My ex, and I'm living right here, I'm staying with him, and he's a house hub. He has a house hub. He's got a backup generator. He's got a freezer, refrigerators. He's storage in his basement for supplies. Food, water. They meet regularly. They come up with backup plans, communications, what's going on, what is potentially anticipating with regards to fires or storms or heat waves, those kinds of things. So again, something that we can do to help each other. But for me, in what I'm doing from a semi-retirement perspective in the corporate world or working, is I'm consulting, I'm teaching, and I'm mentoring. And with regards to the consulting, is I've set up a consultancy. I'm mainly with my former employers or people that I work with. So I actually don't advertise that much because, to be honest, I don't want to work so much because there's part of my life that is saying I'm enjoying being in Europe. That's one of the reasons that I moved there, was just to enjoy a different culture, to learn more, and to travel. So I'm trying to take a balance, but I'm loving in order to help other companies that don't have their own sustainability person to help jumpstart their programs. I'm teaching. I never thought I'd be teaching before, but business students, and in Harlem, there are students that are getting masters in sustainability management. And again, opening their eyes from my experiences in working in corporations, what things can work, what things don't work. And also saying that whatever function you have in the company, you can have a role in helping with sustainability from a social, environmental, and governance perspective. But this is the one that I'm having the most fun, and we've talked a lot about this in terms of the mentoring with regards to startups and entrepreneurs. This is an organization in Amsterdam where they have a lot of the startups are looking at deep tech, robotics, agrochemicals, health and life sciences. So they're developing products and services in these areas. So I can help them not only in achieving what they're trying to do in terms of making an impact, but also with regards to setting up a business. This is another organization that I'm helping in with. It's funded by the chemical industry, and the chemical industries are looking for entrepreneurs that are doing work, for example, in renewable energy sourcing that they could potentially utilize, or new materials development using waste materials as raw materials, or circular economy type of activities, where they would like to partner with them or potentially acquire. So it's very, very exciting. But one of the things that I offer, and I'm just going to take a little side remark because we were talking a lot about mentoring, is what they like about what I can contribute is my corporate experience, the skills and the knowledge and my networks. I'm knowledgeable about regulations and how companies can build compliance programs to that. Because a lot of them are very much into the focus of the product and what it can do, but not understanding the regulatory aspects that need to be considered. But I'm also taking the distinction of being a woman and potentially use of that product, a person of color, also in terms of mentoring young people that are trying to break through certain what they're finding is glass ceilings, etc. You know, how did it work? How do you do it? What happened? What have I learned from that? What can I share? But in the development of products, I'm just talking about the fact that as an elderly person, there's certain things that I can't lift or I can't move. I'm working with an ergonomics group. I'm saying, you know, when you build this program, you've got to be able to accommodate, you know, women, different statures, sizes, taking a look at just asking those questions about if this gets in the wrong hands, what could someone do with it in a nefarious way, if I could put it? What might be some unintended consequences, and start doing those kinds of brainstorms, think a little bit out of the box, again, from my own experiences.
Donna, we have to wrap up.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
I just get involved in this.
I know, yes. You can tip for hours.
So the other aspect is being able to mentor youth. And I have the great pleasure of having to work with Akoth Akeo-Kado, and she will be speaking. Akoth is amazing. She is founder and CEO of Small Hands, Big Change. As founder, she's promoting agroecology in schools through setting up gardens in the schools, rainwater harvesting, composting, and tree planting. She wants to teach her peers about food security, resilience, and sustainability. Small Hands, Big Change gives children a voice through art, poetry, and drama in conservation. And she's our future. Working with these entrepreneurs, working with Akoth gives me hope. Thank you. Akoth.
Thank you, Donna. Yes, wonderful.
Sorry about that, Ingrid.
Akoth, the floor is yours. You have to unmute yourself.
Thank you so much, Mama Donald Said, for a kind introduction. You know, when someone like you introduces a child like me, it feels like a bridge is being built. From your wisdom to my small hands and to the future all shaping together. I'm very honored to be here today. I also want to especially Mama Ingrid Baldebok for discovering me and believing in me. I thank you for giving me a seat at this round table. I also wish to thank other speakers, the Matrix, and the members of the Wise Move Society, and everyone joining us online today. In Africa, we begin with stories, because stories carry wisdom. When I was 6 years old, my grandmother and I planted a tiny manera tree at Aminala Brownie, near our home, the shores of Lake Victoria in Eastern Africa. She whispered to me, "This tree will grow with you. It will shade even others when I'm gone." I didn't understand then. Now I do. That manera tree is still growing, and so am I. And just like that tree, the wisdom of elders grows best when planted in the hearts of young. My name is Akoth Akeo-Kado. I'm 10 years old from Tanzania, the land of Kilimanjaro, Zanzibar, and the Serengeti. I'm the founder and CEO of Small Hands Big Change, an organization led by children but guided by mentors like you. where we believe that even small hands can carry the world into a more sustainable tomorrow. So far, through climate and conservation clubs, I've worked with over 400 children from 10 different primary schools in Dar es Salaam. Together, we planted trees, cleaned beaches, and expressed our dreams about the world we want to live in through art, poetry, and song during Environment Week 2025. But let me tell you something important. We children don't just want to pick up trash. We want to pick up wisdom. We don't just want to plant trees. We want to plant legacies. Because when you, our wise elders, share your knowledge with us, you're not just teaching us how to survive, you're teaching us how to fly. Recently, with the guidance of Mama Donat Said, who is an expert, I developed a new idea, school agroecology clubs, teaching children food security, climate resilience, and sustainability. The plan is to start with 10 primary schools in Kitunda Ward, Dar es Salaam, reaching 1,000 children in 6 months. These clubs will grow vegetables, compost waste, and harvest rainwater, and plant trees. But I didn't wait to test it tomorrow. I started piloting it at home. Today, my family has a small garden. My mother no longer buys vegetables at the market. We harvest our meals fresh from the soil. We save money and we eat healthier. Imagine what this can mean if thousands of children across Africa do the same in their schools and later in their homes and their communities. This is more than farming. It is children learning resilience. It is family finding hope in the soil. Now let me tell you something about wisdom in this generation. As Sipa Trust Guild talked about in her early presentation, we live in a time when artificial intelligence can answer almost anything. AI can write poems, it can design gardens, it can even mimic our voices. But here's the truth. AI has knowledge, but it cannot give us wisdom. Wisdom only comes from people, elders, mothers, fathers, teachers, and mentors like you. No machine can replace the story of a grandmother planted a tree with her granddaughter. No algorithm can pass down the love, the patience, the songs, the spiritual connection we have with nature. That is why children like me are here today. Not just to learn from data, but to learn from you, from your lived experience, from your heart. If we lose the voices of our grandmothers and mothers, if wisdom is not passed to us, then we risk being raised by machines instead of matriarchs. And I must tell you something personally. Back in December, one small big change was just an idea in my heart. I traveled more than 600 kilometers with my dad to Dodoma City, the administrative capital of Tanzania, for an appointment with the Tanzania Forest Services. I wanted to share my ideas with the Conservation Commissioner, but he was too busy. I tried again during my midterm break. Again, he was too busy. On my third attempt, I was finally shown the office of a senior director. But when I entered, the old man grew angry. In the Korea culture, girls, especially young ones, are not supposed to appear before the men unless summoned. For me to walk in alone was like breaking an invisible law. He didn't let me speak. He told me that I was too young, that I was just a girl, that I knew nothing, that I should go back to school. I walked out crying because I didn't understand why my age or my gender made my dreams invisible. On the bus back to Dar es Salaam, still crying, I promised myself, before I turn 12, I'll return and I'll prove to this old man what a girl can do. My mothers, that is why support matters so much. That is why this roundtable matters. Because if girls are silenced, wisdom is silenced. You must have heard about Pam Thompson's experience in Afghanistan in her early presentation. Even worse, this month, the Taliban has banned books written by women from universities. Subjects about women have been erased. That means my sisters there cannot learn from their mother's wisdom. Children are robbed of women's wisdom. If we silence women, we silence half of humanity. That is why this Wise Move Society and this roundtable is so important. Because here, wisdom is not banned. It flows, it is shared, and it reaches children like me. Mama Ivan Bisisek Gami. Tell us your stories, Mama. Tell it in more books and everywhere. Write, Mama. Write and I'll spread it. Write and I'll read it. We children are not just asking only for resources. Just like Viola Edwards, Dr. Tatiana Rawson, and Bridge Bali said in their session, we're asking for mentorship. Work with us, guide us, just like Mama Donna said is doing with me. Listen, hear our ideas, even if they sound small. Family values, teach us respect, love, and responsibilities. Leadership, trust us with little roles, so one day we can take big ones. But I must also tell you this. Even in my journeys today, I still face closed doors. I write letters to governments, to corporates, to diplomats, even to the United Nations. I send those letters at your child, a 10-year-old and a girl, but still, I'm sent to the chute of bureaucracy. My words ignored, my request unanswered, and all I ask for, just a meeting, just a few minutes to share my ideas. How does this world operate? I can't understand you grown-ups. And so I turn to you, the matriarchs of this society. Stand up for us. Stand up for our children. Stand up for our girls. Our voices matter. We are not clueless just because we are young and female. I'm a girl, yes? And girls have always carried wisdom. If we can be trusted with babies on our backs and water pots and fire on our heads, then surely we can be trusted to carry leadership. I am asking you, my dear matriarchs, your wisdom is my inheritance. Pass it through me, and I promise you, I'll carry it through my generation. I said in the program that there'll be a session to shortlist project for discussion or plan of action. I humbly ask you to consider my school agroecology clubs, not just because it's my project, but because it's a seed that can grow into a forest for change of children everywhere. For this seed to grow, it needs water, soil, and sunlight. The soil is your wisdom, the water is your mentorship, and the sunlight is your support. Together, we can make it bloom. So I leave you with questions only you can answer. Number 1, what wisdom will you give us to your children before machines give us instead? Number 2, how will you make sure that your voices as women cannot be banned, silenced, and erased? Number 3, if we children are your legacy, what do you want us to carry in our hands? Because even small hands, guided with big hearts, can carry the world into a better tomorrow. In Melo, Africa, we say, it takes a whole village to raise a child. Today, I ask you to be my village. Thank you.
Wow. I think you have a whole new village around you. Wonderful, wonderful. You had so many hearts, and so there was already a lot of responses from the entire group. So really amazed. And I want to ask the others just a quick question in between. So where were you when you were 10 years old? Still on the playground, probably, but it's okay. You know,
Not
we still have a lot of time to catch up. Yeah. Who wanted to share something?
sorry, Ingun. I said not where she is.
Not where she is. No, no. Don't worry, Akot, if you just continue on you know, the road that you're going, people will start listening. And it starts with groups like this. We will talk about it, we will share your story, and there will be more people who are listening. And it's not because you're 10 years old, or you really have a story to share. And with the passion that you do that, that is really fantastic. And a lot of people, also in high places, they can be very, very much inspired by what you have to share. So thank you for that. Thank you.
Oh,
And I must say, you know, we saw Corinne's daughter just pop in. This little lady also has already her own website and her own group on Facebook, and is already doing a lot of stuff there. So it's a great generation to work with. And of course, you can say, do we need to do this at 10 years old? If a 10-year-old has a story to share, has a passion, has a purpose, yes, we need to share these stories. Absolutely. So thank you, Akat. And we're a little bit out of the time, but I'm not going to watch that. We're going to actually our last speaker. So let me share my screen again. So this was Donna, and then of course we had Akat. And actually, I wanted to share, if you follow her on one of the social media platforms, I'm sorry, she's already talking to quite some important people. As I saw last week, I saw the ambassador of the Netherlands pass by. So there's already some great names that she's talking to. And there's another great speaker and another doer, someone who's really, really passionate about everything that she is bringing to, into the world. And the Coral Ring legacy, well, I hope that she's going to share the story of the Coral Ring, empowering people of all ages and background to create social change. She's really, really doing great work. Empower others to social change, daughter of Holocaust survivors. Her visit to Auschwitz inspired her to create Champions of Caring, so that's the organization. She's an author and the creator of the documentary The Coral Ring Legacy. So, Barbara Greenspan, I am going to give you the floor.
Well, thank you. How does one follow Akat? You
Yes,
are amazing. How could I have this privilege or punishment of following probably the most eloquent person in the room? My heart goes out to you. You are an inspiration, and I want to be you when I get older.
When you grow up, yes.
When I grow up. You know, I loved hearing what everyone had to say. We are the CEOs of ourselves. And Akat, you learned it at such a young age. Wow, I'm impressed. I'm so thrilled to be here. And let me tell you, I am a proud 77 and 8/10-year-old woman with who loves this stage of my life. My COVID white hair, my red lipstick, my dangling earrings. I really love living this life of meaning, purpose, and identity. I'm a guarded risk taker who loves the challenges of new projects. I'm a dreamer, a visionary, a storyteller, and a firm believer that each of us at every age, and you just heard from those brilliant 10-year-old I've ever met, that we can come together to create a kinder world. You know, we talk about leaving a legacy, not in my world. In my world, I've written 2 books about living your legacy. It is not what you leave when you're gone, it's how you build that legacy while you were alive. So let me just give you 2 words about my background. My why. Everyone has a why they're propelled to do what they do in the world. I was born in Regensburg, Germany, and I'll share the year 1948. I'm proud to say that, to parents who had survived the Holocaust. My mother was the sole survivor of a family of 65 people and was incarcerated in Auschwitz and 2 other death camps. My father worked for Oskar Schindler. They taught me integrity, honor, and kindness. When I was 7, my mother played a game, Akat, with me, and the name of the game was the Mensch game. Mensch is a word that means a good, kind person. So every day when I came home from school, my mother would say, "And what did you do to be a mensch today?" And I would make up these incredible stories that the building was burning down and I had wings and I saved 50 people and I was so fabulous. And my mother would go, I can smell a lie. You did not do that. But what I want you to do is every day think of how you can be kind. What can you do to include someone who's left out all the time? What can you do to comfort someone who's sad? Can you invite someone who doesn't have friends to our home so that they can feel special? So, I did this with my mom since the age of 7. And my mom died 15 years ago. But every night when I go to sleep, I think of my mom saying to me, "What were you doing to be a mensch today?" So I'm excited to tell you that I am starting a mensch movement all over the world. And I want to encourage people to lead with their heart, to come forward to do good in the world. We live in an ugly world, but we must, and we will do something about that. I've had many careers in my life. I am driven. And, as a baby boomer, I was told I could be a teacher or a nurse or a secretary, or better yet, marry a rich man and do nothing. None of that worked for me. I did love teaching and did it for a long time. And then I founded a recruiting firm and I recruited senior level executives. And I thought I had hit the pinnacle of my career. I loved what I was doing. I felt important and powerful meeting with CEOs of hospitals all over the United States. But then something happened to me. My mother told me that she wanted us to go to Auschwitz, the concentration camp where she was incarcerated in. My mother used to compulsively brush her teeth. It drove us crazy. We were always late to every event we had to go to. I didn't understand why. I actually used to yell at my mother, "Stop brushing your teeth." We're standing at the gates of Auschwitz under the sign, "Arbeit macht frei," work will set you free. This was just a fake come on because we know what was in Auschwitz. It was the crematorium, it was death, it was the end of life. My mother turns to me and says, "I was 19 years old. I had lost everyone in my family and every worldly possession, but I snuck a toothbrush into my dress. I felt the bristles on my teeth. They made me feel human. I didn't have toothpaste. I didn't have water, but just feeling that on my teeth, I felt like I still had my humanity. When I got here, they took it away from me." I was hysterical. I could not believe that my mother only had a toothbrush left in her world and it was in a pile in Auschwitz. I left and I said to my mom, "I have to go and do something. Stay with dad and the other people. I'll be back." In the courtyard, there was a group of German young boys, 14 and 15 years old, and they were laughing and clowning around. And I got incensed. German is my first language. I was born in Regensburg, Germany. I went up to them. I said, "Do you know where you are? This is a killing place. How can you behave this way?" And they laughed more. And bam, my life changed forever. I was not coming back to the United States to recruit doctors anymore. I had a master's degree in education, and I thought, I'm going to come back and teach young people like you to become social activists, to care about humanity, to become social entrepreneurs and create a kinder world. And the name Champions of Caring popped into my head. And I have to tell you that since 1995, we've worked with 10,000 students from high schools throughout the Philadelphia region who've given 1 million hours of service locally, nationally, and globally. This is the happiest and most proud moment of my life to see my children, these thousands of young people from all races, all religions, all backgrounds coming together to create social change. This is not a problem just for someone from a certain country, from a certain race, from a certain religion. It's for all of us to create a kinder world. In 3 weeks, I'm going to Poland, Belgium, and Germany to premiere a film, The Coral Ring Legacy, which is to shine a light on these amazing young people because these are the heroes of our time. At age 30 and 40, they continue to do the work we taught them when they were teenagers. And I just want to end by telling you about my coral ring, because Ingun, I can't not tell the story. You see this ring that I'm wearing? It is the most important possession I have, not because of its monetary value. My grandmother, Golda Greenspan, who lived in Krakow, Poland, was an entrepreneur in the 1920s. She learned Italian as her sixth language and went to Livorno, Italy to buy corals. She thought if I could bring corals to Poland, I could make a lot of money. This was her favorite ring. She gave this ring to a Polish man who worked in her factory, in her business, and she asked him to keep it because bad things she heard, because they didn't have TV or they didn't know what was happening, were happening, to her people. My grandmother survived Auschwitz. My mother survived 3 concentration camps and lost 65 people in her family. My father worked for Oskar Schindler, if you saw the film Schindler's List. My parents met in Theresienstadt. They both had typhus. My mother weighed 60 pounds. My father weighed 80 pounds. When they were liberated, they went back to their respective cities. My mother found no one out of 65 people. My father found his mother, brother, and a cousin. And my grandmother said, "Oh my God, I have to give you the ring. I have the ring." She remembered the coral ring. They went to find the man that they gave the ring to. And guess what? After all of what happened, so many 11 million people had been killed. This man denied having the ring. But my grandmother was tenacious. She got the police, and this ring suddenly appeared. It became my mother's engagement ring. For my 50th birthday, my mother took the ring off of her finger, put it on mine, and said, "You must remember our history. You must stand up. You must speak out. You must teach people not to be silent and indifferent. You must be a hero and be kind and caring." So the name of the documentary is The Coral Ring Legacy. I hope that you might be interested in showing it. I'm doing a European premiere in November, and I just believe firmly that we must help each other. I am focused now on intergenerational collaboration because I believe when you bring young and old together and share this brain trust, we can really change the world. We are running intergenerational cafes here in Philadelphia with Temple Universities. We have a course. Are you ready for this? 18 to 95-year-olds learning together. We then have cafes, which I'm happy to share with all of you, where we bring younger and older together to share their wisdom and to create a kinder world. We have a 92-year-old woman who has spoken to her partner, who is 20, every week for 4 years. So now is the time to be inspired, to get passionate, to brainstorm ideas, to find your tribe and live your legacy.
Wow. Wow. So it's good that we have you after Aquats.
No, I thought you still won the prize for the best today, hands down. No one could compete. But you know what? It's when younger and older work together that we can have this movement, this energy, this power.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Barbara. Here's where, the doer, the storyteller, the caregiver, everything comes together. So that's really amazing. If I look at, but we have just a couple of minutes, 10 minutes for the breakout. So we're not going in breakout sessions. We'll do that after the short break. But I love to hear your perspective